Oh no, oh no, oh no, I just looked at the time and it's supposed to be my nap right now. How am I supposed to fall asleep? This is going to be crazy. Well, don't worry. I'm going to tell you in this video how you should handle these situations when you just realized it's time to nap. Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. My name is Crimson Flower and I'm a main author of Polyphasic.net, the community recommended resource for polyphasic sleepers. So today's topic is panic napping, or how to fall asleep when you just realized it's time for you to fall asleep. You know, it's your scheduled sleep time, how to work around that. We're going to split this video into a few parts, discussing what to do in these situations, what not to do, and how you should combat this in the future. Let's start off by talking about what you should not do in this situation. You should not flex your nap or shift your sleep time in order to get the full 20-minute nap, okay? The reason for this is that while it might not give you as big as an energy boost for having a shorter nap compared to a 20-minute nap, it's going to still give you a bit of an energy boost. And more importantly, your adaptation is not going to be as negatively affected by skipping out on sleep compared to moving sleep. We actually made another video on the topic of how strict you should be with your sleep times that you can check out in the link in the description. Another thing though that you shouldn't do when you sleep or when you realize you need to sleep in a few minutes is to panic or stress out. It's easier said than done, of course, but the reality is that when you start counting how many minutes there are left of your sleep, you're not going to be able to fall asleep because you're alerting your brain and you're stressing out yourself. What you should remember here is that you are going to be able to continue with your day even if you're skipping a nap. Heck, Randy Gardner was able to go without sleep for 260 hours in the 60s when he set a world record. A few hours isn't going to kill you, you're going to be fine. Try to de-stress over this fact that you might not be able to sleep, and that's fine. You will survive. By doing this, you might ironically actually manage to fall asleep because you're not stressing over it. But think about that. Don't stress. If you don't fall asleep, it's fine. It's not going to kill you. If you fall asleep, that's great, but just don't stress over it, okay? Okay, so what you shouldn't do is flex the nap or stress over the fact that you might not be able to fall asleep when you realize this is happening. But what should you do? In this case, you need to evaluate the situation you are in when you realize it's time to fall asleep. Are you doing some hard physical activities? In that case, you will most likely not be able to fall asleep for the nap. Are you in a location where it's very hard for you to take a nap? Well, if you're in the middle of a clothing store or a grocery store and you realize it's time to nap, you're most likely not going to be able to get to a place to nap and then actually fall asleep there. So you might just in this case want to find a chair, chill a bit. Don't focus on falling asleep, but focus on relaxing instead, so that you're still sending the cues to your body that it's time to wind down, but don't really attempt to fall asleep at this time because it's just going to be a waste of time. Also, while on the topic of finding nap spots, we're going to make videos on how to find napping spots in various locations. And if you're interested in that and don't want to miss it, I suggest you subscribe so you don't miss when we release that video in the future. Anyways, if you're in a situation where you've concluded that attempting to fall asleep is going to be possible, you might actually fall asleep. You're not in a bad location or you're not doing strenuous physical work immediately before. Like, for example, if you're on your computer at home. In this case, you want to pretend like it's a fire drill, okay? You want to calmly move to your designated napping area in an orderly fashion and lay there until you fall asleep. Don't rush, because that's going to increase your heart rate and it's going to make falling asleep harder. Put on some brown noise, lay down for your nap spot and relax a bit. It might take you longer to fall asleep than usual because you haven't prepared in any sort of way, and it might not take longer to fall asleep. As I said in the video, it doesn't really matter whether you fall asleep or not. You might be able to fall asleep, and you might also not be able to fall asleep. Also, we've made a whole video on different ways for you to fall asleep faster, so if you haven't seen that already, I suggest you check that out too, so you get some good practice on what to do when you want to fall asleep, what kind of inputs you want to add to your brain, to your mind, to your ears, to your eyes in order to fall asleep faster. And the link to that video will be in the description. So we talked about what you shouldn't do when it's time to fall asleep, and we have talked about what you should do when it's time to fall asleep. You should be calm, okay? Move to your place and nap there. Let's now talk about what you should do in order to make sure that this doesn't happen again, because while it's true that you're going to be able to survive today if you missed your nap, you don't want to be it a long-term thing, okay? You want to only sporadically be needed to miss the nap. You don't want it to be a regular occurrence that you miss your nap all the time, because that's going to really negatively impact your adaptation. What you should do here is set an alarm to remind yourself around 15 minutes before your nap time that it's time to go to nap, it's time to go to sleep. Though, what's important to pay attention to is that you aren't using the same sound for this reminder as you are for your wake-up alarm, okay? That's not something you want to do. It's going to make you really alert and you're going to ruin your nap. You also want to plan out your life a bit more so that you make sure that you have adequate time to go to nap and you aren't accidentally, for example, stuck in a meeting or chatting with a friend at a cafe where you aren't going to be able to fall asleep. You want to plan out your life a bit more so that you're not stuck in these bad situations when it's time to nap, okay? Structure it a bit so that you have these demands, these situations that require you to absolutely be there, be present, and not go to nap in the middle of them pretty soon after you wake up instead of pretty soon before you're supposed to fall asleep, because these things can drag out and we want to avoid them covering your nap so that you're forced to miss it, okay? You should also pack a nap kit whenever you leave the house and carry it with you so that you're going to be able to fall asleep after you pull out your blanket and put on your earphones and all this. It's going to be a really good idea to carry a nap kit everywhere you go. In situations where you're not going to be able to make it home, you're still going to be able to catch a nap when you need it. Please tell me in the comments below if you have any questions regarding how to succeed with panic napping. Also, share if you have had to take some panic naps and what they were like, what your experience with them was like during your adaptations. Were you still able to fall asleep, or did you only suffer and feel bad for the rest of the day? Thank you, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Nap well, people!